Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're doing a deep dive into the highly publicized Jantar protest. And look, we're going to take a completely objective look at this, drawing directly from our deeply researched source material to reconstruct exactly what happened on the ground. We're stripping away all the noise to show you the precise, literally hour-by-hour timeline of an event that totally captivated the nation.
So, let's just get right to it. Our documentation lays out this absolutely gripping narrative of how a simple, peaceful sit-in transformed into a chaotic street battle right in the heart of the Capitol. You know, it's a textbook case of how rapid escalation happens. And to understand that climax, well, we really have to look at the pressure cooker environment that started the whole thing.
Section 1. The hunger strike pressure.
To understand the explosive finale, we first need to look at how a single individual's actions put unprecedented pressure on the entire state apparatus. The timeline shows the protests initially started on June 6th, but the energy really shifted on June 28th when activist Sonam Wangchuk joined and began a hunger strike. As the days ticked by, public sympathy grew, basically cornering the government. Then, a major turning point hit on July 15th. A completely unaffiliated lawyer filed a public interest litigation, a PIL, citing the severe risk to Wangchuk's life. The very next day, the court ordered medical monitoring. But here's the crucial part. The court never explicitly ordered his forced removal from the site.
Moving on to Section 2, a secret police operation. So, this medical monitoring order, it triggered an incredibly rapid and secretive response from law enforcement. It led to a stunning administrative move. On July 17th, the sitting Delhi police commissioner was abruptly replaced mid-tenure by Anurag Kumar, a veteran special director from the Intelligence Bureau. I mean, this sudden leadership change signaled extreme urgency. The state wasn't just planning crowd control anymore, they were planning a highly sensitive extraction.
And this brilliantly illustrates the military-style operation they designed. Following late-night meetings, they planned a three-layered midnight extraction. Step 1 involved plainclothes officers acting like doctors, right? They literally used white bed sheets to form a visual wall to block any photos from getting out. Step 2 had paramilitary forces securing the outer barricades. And Step 3 placed senior officers at a central command point. The goal? Extract Wangchuk in under 30 seconds, with absolute, total secrecy.
Early on July 18th, authorities finally found their window. As key protest leaders temporarily stepped away, signal jammers were immediately activated, plunging the site into a complete digital blackout. The extraction was executed, but instead of the planned 30-second window, the operation stretched over 2 minutes amidst sudden resistance from the remaining protesters. This marked the very first physical confrontation.
And take a look at this, because it's wild. The medical data that justified the extraction is heavily disputed in our source material. While police and hospital records claimed his potassium crashed to a dangerously low 2.9, independent labs and his family showed levels were at a perfectly normal 4.3 just the day before and 3.5 the day after. This sudden, drastic drop became the absolute crux of a fierce legal argument. Was this forced hospitalization a rescue operation or an illegal detention?
All right, Section 3, the smuggled call to action. Instead of shutting things down, this hospitalization was basically throwing a match on gasoline. It acted as an explosive catalyst. On July 19th, a handwritten note from Wangchuk was smuggled out of the hospital by his wife and posted to social media. Opening with the really powerful words, "From my illegal detention at Safdarjung," the note explicitly called for a massive student march on Parliament the very next day. This specific single piece of paper became the ultimate trigger that galvanized the masses.
And let me tell you, the masses were already primed for this. The overwhelming public response was fueled by the sheer frustration of over 2.3 million students directly affected by the recent NEET exam paper leaks. To put that in perspective, that's not just a political crowd. This was a massive, ready-to-mobilize demographic of desperate youth who literally felt their futures had been stolen.
Utilizing an incredibly strong digital and campus infrastructure, organizers built unstoppable momentum heading into July 20th. We're talking over 300,000 signups through simple Google Forms. Influencers ran 24/7 live streams directly from the edges of the protest, while highly organized student networks across major universities like DU, JNU, and Jamia were fully activated. Suddenly, thousands upon thousands were converging on the Capitol.
Which brings us to Section 4, fortifying the capital city. Recognizing this unprecedented influx of angry protesters, the state responded with massive security countermeasures. What followed was a virtual lockdown. By the evening of July 19th, authorities imposed Section 163 of the BNSS, effectively banning any gathering of 5 or more people. New Delhi was carved up into 15 high-security zones. Interstate borders were completely sealed, vehicles were heavily checked, and Jantar Mantar itself was suffocated by a 3-layer police cordon. The state machinery was operating at maximum capacity to stop this march.
But when traditional mobile networks were jammed by the police, the students fought back with tech. The source explains that protesters ingeniously bypassed the digital blackout using offline Bluetooth messaging apps, things like Briar and BChat. These apps create a mesh network. Essentially, the denser the crowd, the stronger the signal gets, allowing communication completely free from cellular networks. Pretty clever, right?
In response to this digital resistance, there was a fascinating escalation into literal technological warfare. Government cyber agencies allegedly demanded the immediate removal of these app codes from developers. And simultaneously, police deployed AI-powered facial recognition networks around the protest sites to scan and identify individuals in the crowd. As you can imagine, this sparked massive privacy criticisms and independent legal challenges.
There were also some really bizarre anomalies amidst all this tension. Take the mystery of a stone-filled truck found near the barricades. Protesters claimed it was a trap planted there to frame them for violence. But police records clarify this specific truck had actually been seized in a totally separate case 4 days prior and was just parked nearby at the police station. It's a perfect example of how paranoia peaks in these incredibly high-stress environments.
And that leads us to our final section, Section 5, Chaos and the Core Grievance.
The crucial point here is how this meticulously planned march ultimately descended into total chaos. The timeline reveals a catastrophic breakdown in leadership. On the morning of July 20th, key leaders were separated. Some detained, others delayed at the hospital. This left thousands of frustrated students stranded in Jantar Mantar and blocked metro stations. Around 10 a.m., this leaderless, uncoordinated crowd simply began pushing forward. By 11:15 a.m., they broke through the primary barricades, and by 11:54 a.m., as the crowd reached Kerala House, the police initiated a lathi-charge.
Drawing strictly from official police general diaries and ground reports, the response involved heavy force. Records show the firing of dozens of shells, tear gas grenades deployed directly into the sitting crowds, and the use of anti-riot guns firing plastic pellets. Furthermore, our source highlights severe allegations, backed by viral documentation, of police brutality, including officers striking protesters above the waist and assaulting female students, which of course fueled immense public outrage.
But let's take a step back. Behind all the tear gas, the AI surveillance, and the broken barricades, we really have to look at the stark reality driving this entire event. The root cause was the sheer, crushing desperation of youth facing a corrupt examination system. Systemic paper leaks in crucial exams like NEET and SSC are effectively robbing millions of students of fair opportunities, heavily favoring a wealthy few who can simply buy their way into a future.
This raises a really compelling argument from our source about government capability versus intent. Think about it. The government successfully conducts massive, leak-proof exams like the UPSC, so the capability to secure paper clearly exists. Yet exams like NEET suffer from repeated, systemic leaks, costing the economy an estimated 2,000 to 5,000 crore rupees, and far more importantly, costing students their dreams. This isn't a failure of technology, it's a catastrophic lack of intent.
So, I'll leave you with this final, provocative thought derived directly from our source material today. We saw how quickly the state could mobilize intelligence directors, deploy facial recognition, jam signals, and fortify a massive city overnight to stop a protest. If the state possesses that immense, overwhelming capability, why does it repeatedly fail to secure the exam papers that dictate the very future of its youth? When systemic failures breed street-level desperation, who is truly accountable? Think about that. Thanks for joining us for this explainer.